All welcome. Uh, I've been surprised that I thought it was just a demo lecture and I would have a classroom, but it's an auditorium. So I guess I would have to use the PPT itself or some kind of information so that you can all see. I was planning to use the blackboard itself or the whiteboard. So sorry for that. I'm just kind of short materials, but I was trying to cover up with the internet because I didn't know that I would have to present a PPT or so. But in any case, I think the guys over here gave me a brief introduction of mine, but I would like to give myself also. So my name is Sandeep. I passed from IIT Roorkee 2006 batch as BTech Electronics and Communication. I have about 7.5 years of experience in industry, IT industry. I was working with Adobe India, which is situated in Noida, for the past 6 years, and I've been working on very big software systems. Like you must have known about Adobe products like Adobe Acrobat, Photoshop, and all those stuff. So I've worked in all those softwares. They're about, so you can't imagine the code base itself is about 40 GB for those softwares. And it used to took about 3 hours to download it and a further 4 hours to compile it from the scratch. So that kind of those kind of softwares I am experienced in working in. Then so but in the recent past 2 years, Adobe being a product company which makes these kind of huge softwares for professionals, the focus has been shifting on the consumer side and mostly on the mobile side. Why is that? Because the mobile platform has evolved a lot and there are so many users. There's a large splurge of users on the mobile platform, and it has become a strategic marketing point for companies. So for the last 2 years, I've been working on the Android apps, iOS apps, Windows apps in Adobe itself, and worked on products like VideoByte. If you can search through, there is an iOS application of Adobe called VideoByte. I have worked on that, and I have worked from the start to the end of that project. So that is my short introduction of what I have worked in Adobe. Then for the last 2 years, I've been associated with my own firm. I started a startup called Apric Technologies, and I will just show the website of that. Yeah, it's fine. It's got up there.
ऑफ कर दीजिए ऑफ कर दीजिए चलिए स्क्रीन
Sorry for interruption. Just a minute. I just have to bring it. Yes. So I was telling you about my website. So for the past 2 years, I've been working in my own firm, which I have started with one of my batchmate, Pankaj Sharma, and I am CTO for that company. For the past 2 years, I've been developing and overseeing very large projects. We mostly specialize in mobile solutions, and we have delivered over 6 or 7 large applications for mobile for various firms, and we are also working on our own mobile product, mobile strategy product. So considering experience wise, I have experience in Android, considerable amount of experience in Android, both in terms of expertise as well as in terms of developing live applications, market applications, and I know the industry of mobile very much. So this is our website. So I will just go through the portfolio of that. So these are the various applications. Just a minute. So let me just go through it. So I've created these many applications. You can just they are all free. You can download it on mobile applications. Common Flow. Then there is Flow company. Then Holiday IQ Android applications and iOS applications. Pegout Android application. Then administrative applications which are not UI based, but of course there are administrative applications which work on the background. There's huge set of system that they were building and we contributed to that. So that is Cleon. This is a China based and Sweden based company. So this is just a brief introduction of my work profile. So I think the question must have been rising in your mind that being an IT professional, why I'm here, why I'm teaching you guys. So I would say my answer is simple: is that I love teaching. I have mentored so many of my young professional guys in both companies, both in Applic, both in Adobe, and I have teaching in my blood basically because my parents and my grandparents are both teachers. I like to interact with the young minds like you and you guys have so much energy, which I used to at once point of time, and I like to regain it from you guys. So that this is my sole purpose of coming here and teaching you. Of course, there are other incentives also, but this is my sole purpose. And being a professional company, we are also looking for some guys for our internships, for our job profiles also. And I hope that through this course we might find someone from you for that purpose also. So this is my brief introduction. It has become somewhat long, but I need to explain why I have come here and what are my credentials and stuff. So now I would like to know my audience. I have so Dr. Preeti Mehra had told me that there are MCA second semester and fourth semester guys from here. So how many guys are from MCA second semester? Okay, okay, okay. So about I would say 1/4 right from second semester. So I heard from Dr. Preeti Mehra that second semester guys don't know Java, right? Is it? Am I correct? Okay. So from second semester students, MC second semester students, how many guys know C++? Oh, very less. Okay, how many guys know C? All of them know C. That's fine. Okay. So Android technology, the Android platform, the development Android platform purely Java based. There's a prerequisite that you should know Java to code in Android, and for Java you need to know OOPS concepts. So my initial lecture that I'm having provided for the demo lecture, because I'm planning to touch upon those OOP concepts, then touch upon certain part of Java, and then go to introduction of Android for you. Would that be fine? For fourth year guys also? Okay. You are somewhat low in enthusiasm. I'm not able to hear you. Are you fine? Okay, okay. Now it's better. So as I told you that I know that I had to present on PPT, I was planning for a whiteboard type session, but I've tried to cover it up in this. Let me just tell you something about Android so that you get interested in Android and you have some motivation in learning Android. So Android was introduced in about 2008, and the first mobile came up in 2010. And steadily it's growing on the market capture. So today the most of people who use smartphones, about 75% of them use Android. Earlier iOS was gaining because iOS was one of the major platforms, but Android has slowly gained just because Android caters to all the market consumers, low level consumers, high income consumers, everyone. And iOS caters only to the high level consumers, and it's mostly prevalent in US, while Android is everywhere in US, in Asia, in Australia, and everywhere. So Android has been gaining steadily, and since Android has been gaining steadily, that means the requirement for the developers for Android are also been gaining steadily, and people are looking, or in fact I would say in Adobe also people were looking to find Android developers because there weren't any in Adobe. People had to learn Android and then have to develop apps on in Adobe. So Android as a development platform and developers for it is in huge demand. So I would like, and in fact the conventional programming, that is the desktop based programs, only some companies which already have established products like Adobe, like Apple, like Oracle, they are working on desktop products where various new forms which are coming up, they are a mixture of mobile as well as web programming. So that is what the current market is right now, because I've been working in current market and I know the current market scenario. As of now, the hotspot is mobile and web, and the combination of that, hybrid of that. So all the new forms have been coming up in this domain. Instagram, do you know about Instagram? Right. So Instagram was a company which just published one mobile app, and that was a photo editing app, right? Now Adobe was a market leader in photo editing app. Everyone knows Photoshop, right? But still, in the mobile domain, there is nothing like Photoshop. Instagram is one that is popular, right? Why is that so? Because it was first to enter the market, and today Instagram is about $1 million company just on that mobile app. Now it has moved to other areas also, but it was able to gain that. So through mobile app, because it's such simple and even 5 or 6 guys can start it, and it does not require huge code base. You can develop great apps, and if you hit the right market, you can even become a company in itself. So that is the power of mobile programming, not just Android, but the whole mobile programming. And Android is a crucial part of it, because Android has a large market share. So company who wants to build an Android app, it will first go to Android and then go to iOS, right? Because it has good market share. If it builds an Android app, it will cater about 75%, and if it's an iOS app, it will go to about 13%. So which one will company want first? It will want 75% first, right? So that is, so Android is very strategic at this point of time, and I think even if the basic concepts of language are fine, but as of right now, but the message that I want to give you, that mobile programming is hot at this point of time. Now, so let me one now. Can I have marker please for it? Great. So so as per that I have a mix of students, which is second year, third, fourth semester students. I would like to plan my demo lecture in this way. First, I will just go through the OOPS concepts. Okay. Then I will just touch upon Java, and then I will go to Android. Before talking Android, I will talk about how mobile programming. Is anyone able to see it? Or should I write? Is anyone able to see it? Is anyone not able to see it? Those in the back, are you able to see it? Okay. Okay. So I know that you are accustomed to PPTs and all. I didn't knew that. So next time I will make PPT also. And I hope we will have a classroom kind session, because I think that is most productive for the students as of now. PPT just gives you pointers, but when you have to learn the concepts, you need whiteboards. So as I asked, how many know OOPS? Of course, third or fourth semester students will know it. Fourth semester students are so less. There are about 2/3 of them. So how many? I will ask again. How many know OOPS? Okay. So how many know only the definition, and how many know the difference between its actual practicality and how to use it in a program? No one? I'm not talking about definition. How to use it in actual program? No? Okay. Okay. So let me just get you those to the how we went into OOPS, why OOPS came into existence. Let me tell you that first. So the very first computer languages that the man developed was simple procedural language. Simple procedural means they were just instruction based. The first one, like Logo, was just one line based. It just used to draw just one command based programs, which they used to stack certain commands and computer used to run it. So those were called procedural languages. C is one of a procedural language. You just write certain instruction sets and the computer executes them. Simple like that. So let me write a small C program, or in fact I should write there because that would be much more for it. I'm sorry you have to bear with me because I didn't prepare PPT, but then again it's better way. So a simple C program, suppose I want to just print or take input of a person details and I just want to print them, right? So I will just use so how do you write program in C? what all attributes the person has. Is there any other software that I can use, like Silverlight? No, that's right, it over here itself. So what person has? Suppose, let me try it. Then address, suppose it's 40. Then suppose it's 20. Yeah, why char? Because sometimes plus can also be there, right? Plus 91 plus, right? That's why. So let's leave it to that. And I'm just at a simple program, nothing much. So I'm just trying to explain you how the C and how that differs from the. So this is a simple procedural C program. Okay, that is fine. Let's not worry about syntax as of now. Let's worry about the concept, right? Because you are saying in this guy, if I write the same in Java, then you will be at total loss, right? So let's not worry about syntax. So I will just input it. Suppose I want to have 4 persons or 20 persons. Right, so C++, but let's just ignore it for now. It's tough to write over here. Where is the cursor? And similar way I can just write the output of it, right? C out and stuff. So this is a simple procedural C program, right? Now, if you know that it's a program to write or to input personal details and output personal details, but suppose if we give this program outside to any person, how will you know that what this program does? You will have to read from here till the end of the program to know what it does, right? Right? Because you will have to know what all things are. You have to know each and every instructions. Because this is a procedural program. Now suppose if I in this program I want to change, suppose I want to say okay, name is not fine for me, I want to have first name and last name also, I want to have different categories, then again I have to change it over here, right? First name, last name, I have to change it over here, right? I have to change it below where I am outputting it, or wherever I am using it I have to change it, right? This is the kind of problem over here. I cannot reuse this code if I suppose if it's not an int, it's a certain function, right? And if I wanted to use the person details and I want to use in some other file, that would be more difficult for me until unless I put it into global and then use it, right? So so there are two or three problems in it. First, in able to understand these programs, I have to read each and every line. Second thing is that if I want to have to change, I have to make changes at each and every places, right? So there are such kind of problems in procedural program, and furthermore it's not reusable, right? Suppose if this kind of file, like I said, I worked on 40 GB of code, there are about 1 lakh files in it. If there are 1 lakh files of such things, how long do you take you will read it to understand it? Even the person who has coded it, he will forget it at some point of time, right? So this is a problem where the OOPS came in, and the person who is invented OOPS, I think he was genius. What is OOPS? The basic concept of OOPS is that when we write a program, we don't think in terms of procedure, we don't think in terms of what do I have to execute, we think what do I have to accomplish. We think in terms of real world objects and program according to it, and the information into a real world object we put into a separate component and just store it and use that component into a program. Like in this case, what we are doing, we are just using the person, right? We are just using person details. If we can somehow club all this information, put into a separate component and use that component directly here, I would just say that that person print get me details, that person get me print output, and in just 2 lines everything would be summarized. The person who is understanding this code, he may want to look at that component, but he knows that it's a person, it has his information, it's just printing and writing it, right? It will take just 1 minute to or even a glance to do to know what this program looks like. So this is where OOPS come in. OOPS is programming in terms of real world objects. Okay, now I will tell you how the OOPS will came into existence in this case. So object, what is an object? It's a basic unit of OOPS concept. Right. One of the basic core thing where the OOPS concepts lives in. It's a collection of data as well as its behavior. For example, I say object, car is an object, right? The color, engine, the tire, basically which company is it, and all those are the data of it. What are its behaviors? Brake, accelerate, steering. These are all behaviors, right? So behaviors and data, if we combine them and plug them, keep it in a separate component, that is an object, right? And what is class? Class is a blueprint of that object, just blueprint of that object, and from that class we can just create an object out of it. Okay. So the same program we can do, and let me create another. Oh, yeah. So all those who know C++, so this is how we define a class. Okay, we say class person. Okay, and then we define its data. What are the data of classes? Class person, name, all that thing that is there, right? Only one thing can be opened over there. That's fine. So I'm just writing it like this. You are able to understand it, right? So all that data over here is this. Oh, caps lock. Now all the data is in this class. What are the behaviors? Get information, put information, right? Right? That is what we wanted in that class. Okay, yeah. Here we will put all scene statements. All scene statements would be there. So this is a class, and now whatever program, suppose in program is separate file and just writing it over here. Okay, so let it start. Will it get started? Okay, so I guess you've got the basic concept that we have created a class. It has its data and its behavior. Behavior means functions, right? Inside a class, and we in main what we were going to do, we're just going to instantiate, make an object of that class, the blueprint of that class, and we just call two functions, get data and print data in a loop, right? So person will just look at int main. He will just use what he'll look. He will say person dot get data. Okay, it is getting data. Person dot print data, it's just printing data. It does not have to go to person specifically to look at what it is doing, right? And I can replicate that person into each and every any part of my program, right? In every file, in my project. My project has 100 file, I can use it everywhere, and the same functions, the same data is it at one place. I don't have to go here and there to look for it. So this is one of the main first concept of OOPS, which is encapsulation. Encapsulation. What is encapsulation? Encapsulation is putting the data and the behavior at one place. Just make it a component and just put it out and use that component everywhere. So this is how the programming works. When you think of a program in an OOPS, you think which are my real world objects, and I will give you a I would say month. Every name is a class and every verb is a function, right? So break it down as much as possible and put it into separate components and then use those components, right? Now in this class I had used name, right? Suppose if you want to change name to first name last name, what I have to do? I have to just